Oh, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I hope your new year got off to a pretty good start. I know, obviously, with what's happened at in DC, 2021 is looking to be a lot like 2020. That's all I'm saying. But I'm not here to talk about the new year. I am here to talk about one thing, and that is what I think will happen the 20 during the 2021 Formula One season. So, let's get that started. Prediction, very big one, and I think everybody probably expects this by now to just happen over and over again. But Mercedes win both titles. I think that's going to be standard at this point. It's kind of like Ferrari back in the early 2000s, kind of same vibe here. But right now, it is very unclear whether or not Lewis Hamilton, as of today, the day I'm filming this, it is very unclear whether or not Lewis Hamilton will be signing again with Mercedes because I don't know what he's doing. He seems to be drawing out his contract talks, so maybe he's trying to make the bigwigs sweat a little. So, okay, sure, right? But, even if Lewis does not sign the Mercedes, Mercedes will probably pick up George Russell, and that will open up a Williams seat. So, Russell is a talent, undeniably. So, regardless of what happens, Mercedes is pretty much set, in my opinion, to be top team again this year. Now, of course, Valtteri winning the World Drivers' Championship is kind of up in the air. Right? He definitely can. There's no there's no denying he can't win the championship. He has the skills, I believe, and the car to win it. It's just he's been overshadowed by Lewis. So if Lewis doesn't sign and they sign George, Mercedes will either push Valtteri because he's more experienced, or they will push George and possibly have a very young world champion, which works out for Mercedes in both ways. Now, you guys know I'm not the biggest Mercedes fan. I'm more of a Red Bull person, but respect to Mercedes for designing engines that have been so dominant for the past 7 years at this point. So, hats off to them. They deserve it. Prediction number 2. I honestly believe Red Bull will be Mercedes' biggest threat. Verstappen's performance last year was pretty good, and I think Red Bull would have done a lot better if Albon had. I don't want to diss Albon, but I honestly think Red Bull would have done a lot better if Albon wasn't kind of like off in the back. You know what I mean? If he had the support like Verstappen has, but now Verstappen's teammate this year is Sergio Perez, which I think Sergio is like. I think he's only like the third non-junior program driver to be put into the big Red Bull seat. Of course, they have Pierre, but Pierre's going to stay at AlphaTauri. Kvyat got dropped. I don't know why they couldn't put Kvyat in that seat, right? But it just baffles me that Kvyat doesn't have a seat. And neither does Hulkenberg for some reason. Of course, I'll get back to Hulkenberg a little later about my Haas prediction. But yes, I do believe Red Bull will be the biggest threat to Mercedes this year. Unless, of course, Ferrari pulls something out of their butt, but it doesn't seem likely. Judging the Ferrari car doesn't seem to have very good pace this year. And yes, I've seen all the memes of Carlos calling the Ferrari a poop box. But maybe Ferrari have done something for him this year, and he finds very good speed in that car. Who knows, right? And I think after Mercedes and Red Bull, I honestly do think McLaren will finish third in the Constructors' Championship. I do believe they did that this year, right? I do believe that. Yeah, McLaren were third. So obviously, they will probably stay there or do a little better. I do think that Daniel Ricciardo does bring a little bit more to the table than Carlos Sainz does. But they're both great drivers, it's just my opinion. Danny Rick has a little bit more. I don't want to say experience, but I think Danny Rick has that speed. I guess Danny Rick provides more than Carlos Sainz does, in my opinion. And plus, this year McLaren are using Mercedes power, so they're definitely gonna be contenders for the constructors championship and drivers. No doubt in my mind, top three teams this year: Mercedes, Red Bull, and McLaren. Top three, no matter what. Right. And then whew, that's my prediction for top two in constructors. But now we move more towards. Oh, actually, no, I'm not there. Okay. I do think the Verstappen and Perez matchup. I do think they will produce great results. Regardless, Sergio is a very experienced driver, and Max is also very experienced. And they're both very good drivers at what they do. So that's a pretty solid pairing. Lando and Daniel Ricciardo. I don't think I need to say anything about that. And Valtteri Bottas and either George or Lewis. Solid driver pairing, regardless. Okay. Let's go move on to the midfield now, which is probably going to be Aston Martin. I don't have high expectations for Aston Martin. They're a new team. You're not exactly going to hit the ground running just because you have a 4-time world champion, right? Vettel can drive, but he's not a miracle worker. He can't transform that car into a Mercedes. I mean, technically he could, assuming Aston Martin / Racing Point does exactly the same thing they did for this year's car into next year's car. So technically they could have another Mercedes, right? But I don't want to believe that's going to happen. But if it does happen, yes, I honestly do believe Vettel and Stroll, those two have not historically got along with one another. If I have to bring back, I think it was 2017 Malaysia at the end of the race. Those two have not historically got along, and then I think Canada. I think it was Canada 2 years ago. They definitely do not get along. So Seb seems like a cool guy. Lance, you guys know I'm not his biggest fan, but I will admit he does seem like a good driver. And maybe if they stay out of each other's way and don't have an Esteban Ocon Sergio Perez kind of relationship, then yes, I think Aston Martin is definitely a contender for best of the rest. They have the Mercedes design, and they have the experience of Sebastian Vettel. So yeah, I honestly think Aston Martin, fourth in the constructors, is not all that ridiculous. Right? Now, you could put some of that of Ferrari's recent blunders to Vettel not doing so well. And I don't really buy that because in Turkey he got P2. Now he might have gotten lucky, but it still takes. No, he got P3. Sorry, he got P3 at Turkey. You can be like, oh, that was because Leclerc went wide on the last corner. Yeah, but it still takes a lot of skill and experience to pick up the pieces and get to that podium. So Seb still is in there, in my opinion. Seb could still win a world title, just not this year, but maybe like next year. That Aston Martin is going to need some time to develop, and Seb is not going to be able to just hop in there and drive it. He needs to develop that car to what he likes, So, and Stroll the same thing. So, yeah, I don't really think Aston Martin's going to be that high up, but I think they'll definitely be up there. Next, Renault. Fernando Alonso is back, along with Esteban Ocon. There's not much I can say. Fernando Alonso, 2-time world champion. 5th in the constructors again. I don't see that being an impossibility. Renault have fallen back in the last couple of years. I'm sorry, not Renault. Alpine, so new team, but technically Renault. But I don't think they're going to do better, but I don't think they can get worse. They're kind of in the middle, so wherever they go, I mean, it's whatever. You guys know I'm not the biggest Renault fan. It's mostly because of when they were powering the Red Bulls and they had all those failures, and I have that association with Renault in my head. And I'm not the biggest Renault fan, but Renault of like 2005, 2006, whew, I like that era. But Renault now, you guys know I'm not the biggest Esteban Ocon fan, so it is what it is. Fifth was sixth. This year was sixth last year. It's 2021. I'm sorry, sixth. Ferrari. So the new lineup, of course, Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc. Very young driver lineup, in my opinion. Ferrari have never really been that keen on hiring young drivers, but Sainz and Charles Leclerc. There are some rumors floating around. Leclerc might leave. I really doubt that. He is signed contract, but Sergio Perez was signed a contract, so that just whatever, right? But Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, I think they'll be in a pretty good. They have a pretty good driver lineup. I think it's down to the car at this point because last year, 2020, Ferrari showed they could win races depending on if the conditions were right. So, example, Turkey. They have the ability to, and Austria, right? They obviously have the ability to earn a lot of points. But the problem is the car doesn't seem to want to match up with them. So, what I would say is, if Ferrari have developed the car this year very well, and it is a genuine contender, I could see it probably fighting for P3 with McLaren and Red Bull. Aston Martin, like I said, I don't think so. So Ferrari will probably be above Aston Martin, or maybe they'll be below Aston Martin. But I do not think Ferrari. I don't think you can develop an engine that much more in a year because judging by the pace they had this year, to go from midfield back to top team in a year, it's definitely possible, but it's kind of out there. Now, I do want to see Ferrari back at the front of the grid, but it's definitely not happening with last year's car. Now, this year's car, if they've developed it properly, like I've said, and Carlos and Charles get along, which I hope they will, because Carlos is a pretty funny guy and Charles seems pretty chill, so they'll probably get along and they can work together. Then yes, I do believe Ferrari will be contenders for high points positions. Now, next up, AlphaTauri Honda. New lineup. Kvyat has been dropped, like I said earlier, and it is Pierre and Yuki this year. So, Yuki Tsunoda, F2, I think, third place finisher. So, obviously talented. Of course, Honda backing. So, of course, he has to go to AlphaTauri first. Him and Pierre, I do expect better results. I mean, of course, Pierre won in Monza, so obviously Pierre is able to win races. And if Yuki can kind of back up Pierre, yeah, I never think it's possible that AlphaTauri Honda will finish above 7th. Now, where? Probably highest I would say is 4th, and lowest I'd say is 7th. But they'll definitely be in battle with Aston Martin. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, AlphaTauri Honda, I have great expectations for them, as long with Red Bull and AlphaTauri. I am a Honda boy, so Honda power, woohoo! But yes, I genuinely believe they will be the ones leading the midfield and the front of the grid. So they're pretty much set. Of course, until Honda pulls out of Formula One. But there are people who are saying, there are rumors saying Red Bull will buy the design and whatnot from Honda. So Honda power may last for a while, for all I know. Okay, but yes, AlphaTauri Honda and Red Bull, I have great expectations for both teams, and I genuinely hope they will do great this season. Yes, Haas dropped both Romain Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen in favor of two new rookies this year, Mick Schumacher. So of course, then first time in 8 years, a Schumacher will be on the grid, and this is also like the 90s because it's a Schumacher and a Verstappen. And Mr. Nikita Mazepin. Oh, this guy. Oh, God. Mick Schumacher, Formula 2 champion. Greatness. Greatness will be happening. Okay, of course, the pressure's on him because of his name, right? And a couple other things. But Mick Schumacher, the Haas, with Ferrari power, will they do better than Will they do better than 9th? That is very debatable, but possibly. I mean, They're both new, so they'll I believe they will do better than Williams. Okay, but how much better? I don't know. Will they do better than Alfa Romeo? Oh, I completely skipped Alfa Romeo. Jesus Christ. I'll go over Haas first, and I'll go back to Alfa Romeo. But yes, Haas. Yeah. Honestly, they might stay in the same place and they might do better. But here's where my Nico Hulkenberg thing comes in. I honestly wish Hulkenberg was chosen instead of Nikita Mazepin. I'm sorry. Okay? You guys know I kind of have a soft spot for Hulkenberg. I mean, what is it, like 187 Grand Prix without a podium? Came close like 2 years ago or something? Or like last year or something like that? I don't remember. But wait. Yeah, 2 years ago. It was 2021, so like 2019. Second in Germany. You know, I feel bad for him, you know? And plus, he subbed for Sergio Perez and Lance Stroll this year. And he got like 6 points. I just spit everywhere. He got 6 points, and he's not even a full-time driver. Like, how does Nico Hulkenberg not have a seat? That just baffles me even more. Okay, Hulkenberg should have been there with Mick, because Hulkenberg has the experience, and Mick could have someone to push him, right? That makes sense in my head. Now, why they didn't go for Hulkenberg on contract, you know, money, whatever, okay? But, of course, Mazepin brings in, like, millions and millions and millions of dollars because he's basically the new Stroll. I hate to say it, but that's basically him. And, of course, he has his actions off the track. If you want to know what I'm talking about, I advise you to search it up. I don't want to talk about it here. But, yes. I honestly think Hulkenberg would have been a way better choice than Nikita Mazepin. And yes, of course, Haas needs the money, so of course they went with Mazepin. It makes sense, but I honestly don't get why they didn't choose Hulkenberg. I'm pretty sure Hulkenberg could have pulled in some sponsors for Haas too, okay? But they didn't choose Hulkenberg and they chose Mazepin. Obviously for money reasons, and of course everybody knows money speaks volumes in Formula 1. So, I can't blame Haas, but I would have chosen Hulkenberg instead of Mazepin. And those are my reasons why. But yes, Alfa Romeo. It is what it is. I mean, the car... I mean, the engine... Of course, the engine for Ferrari, Haas, and Alfa Romeo are going to be a little off. Ferrari engines this year were just... Last year were just... garbage. So, I don't expect them to do much better. They'll stay there. And Williams, you know, Latifi and Russell. Not much, you know. Hopefully... But for Williams, hopefully Russell scores his... Actually, he scored his first point in Mercedes, so hopefully he scores his first points in Williams. And yeah, those are pretty much all my predictions. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Recently, Mr. Lando Norris was diagnosed with the coronavirus. So, Mr. Norris, if you're watching this, get well soon. But yeah, those are pretty much my predictions for 2021. I guess if you made it this far in the video, thanks. Comment down below where you think I'm wrong and you think my head is up my butt. And, you know, comment if you agree with me. Honestly, any opinion is welcome. Nobody knows what's going to happen, right? Of course, until the season's end, then yes, I will know what happens. But for now, I don't know what's going to happen, right? If you made it this far in the video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And share my videos. It would really help. It would really help me out a lot right now. And if you made it this far, thank you so much. It really means a lot to me that some of you are watching me talk about things I enjoy to the end. And thank you for sharing a little bit of your day with me. But until next time, I will see you guys the next time I make a video.